You called me the karmic, but I've been the real one all along. They whispered behind closed doors. They pointed fingers. They spun stories. They cast shadows over my name. They called me karmic. That's the bad man. The lesson, the detour, the destruction. Yet here I stand, whole, rooted, and aligned in the most divine truth. Not because I escaped karma, but because I understand it. Because I've walked through every flame they tried to set for me, and still I'm coming up in silence and sovereignty. This world of projections, what they called karmic, was only their projection of unhealed wounds. In a world bound by illusion, Maya, as Hinduism calls it, it's easy to believe the propaganda and that the mirror is my enemy. But when people see someone who activates their shadow, they recoil. They don't ask what truth in me is being revealed. They ask, who do I blame for how I feel? In Daoism, the concept of the uncarved block or pu symbolizes original synchrony and authenticity. People who wear appearances and masks, but harmony is what you need to be in. That's how you live authentically. And those who don't attack what they do not understand. When you reflect their chaos back to them through calm, you become the dangerous one. They mistook the clarity in me for control. They mistook the boundaries I set for betrayal. They mistook my silence for guilt. They mistook my truth for their shame. And so they point at me and say, that's the bad man. In all the talk of karmics and divine counterparts, many have twisted the ancient spiritual wisdom at the heart of it and turned it into playground gossip. You see, karma's not what people think it is. It's more like a cause and effect, an energy and a resonance. You don't go through the pain because you're evil. You go through pain to evolve. And so when they painted me as the karmic, what they really meant was I couldn't evolve through your presence. Your growth scared me. Your light exposed my stagnation. And the power within you gave me nightmares. You came to catalyze people, not curse them. And your role was not to destroy, but to reflect. In Buddhism, Bodhisattva returns again and again to help liberate others, even those who attack you. Not because we are saints, but because we understand the depth of suffering and illusion. Compassion is not passive. It often wears the mask of rejection. You see, when you left them, when I left them, that became an act of mercy. When I stopped explaining myself, it was an act of compassion. When you let their words float into the wind, it was because you were free, not because your enemies were right. And that's what makes us the real ones. What makes someone the real one? It's not titles. It's not who gets chosen in the short term. Being a real one is about alignment with truth. And truth is not loud. Truth doesn't need to be boisterous. Truth doesn't need to boom across the room. It doesn't need to convince. For those who follow the Baha'i faith, one of the core tenets is unity in diversity. That each person is a reflection of the divine carrying a spark of purpose. But this divine spark cannot be activated in people who are busy dimming others. So when they labeled you, when they labeled me, when they mocked us, and they shamed you and I, they were attempting to destroy the part of us that held their healing. They chose to reject the medicine because it hurted and it tasted bitter. They chose to romanticize the disease because it felt all too familiar. And we kept walking. You chose not to play the role they assigned. We all chose to ascend, not to escape, but to understand. In Daoism, Wu Wei teaches us to act without force, to move in flow with the cosmos. And in silence, we've been moving, we've been evolving, we are becoming. And so they don't call me the karmic because they don't know what sacred looks like. They think sacred is shiny. They think divinity comes in perfect packages. They don't understand that sacred often comes through chaos, transformation, and fire. In the Hindu stories, Shiva, The destroyer is not evil. He is the force that clears illusion. He is the remover of falsehoods. Sacred is messy. Sacred breaks what no longer serves. They weren't ready for my truth because it shattered their illusions. They weren't ready for your love because it wasn't codependent. They weren't ready for our presence because we mirrored their absence of self. And so they told the world you were the karmic. And let me tell you what you really were. You were the mirror they refused to look into. You were the doorway they refused to walk through. You were the storm that came to clear, not destroy. You were the womb of transformation they didn't want to enter. Our veil is lifting. In Buddhism, karma ripens like a seed. You don't see the fruit right away, but it always comes. The same people who whispered lies now stand in their own unraveling because karma doesn't punish, it reveals. In the Baha'i faith, there's a principle of progressive revelation that truth unfolds as we are ready for it. But many don't want the truth, they just want the comfort. And truth costs. If you ever watched The Matrix and Cypher, he was willing to go back in there and to be made blind, deaf, and dumb once more. Loneliness, slander, isolation. We are crucified in a court of public opinion because others wear their mask that they claim is virtue. But what did Christ say? He said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Even when you are the real one, you forgive those who feared you because you know they can't even see you. Because you know they weren't even ready. And so in the Tao of the real one, in Daoism, the one who walks with the Tao does not need recognition, does not need boastfulness. The Tao provides, the Tao protects. I didn't fight back with words. I didn't retaliate. I let the energy balance itself. And now you see the truth unfolding. Those who lied about you cannot hold the mask anymore. Those who betrayed me now stumble in their own illusion, not because any of us cursed them, but because they cursed themselves by living against the way. The way. You don't need revenge. You have alignment. I don't need to prove my worth. I embody it every day. You didn't need to be chosen by others. You chose yourself. And that is the real power that we possess. We are becoming the fire. They thought we would burn in their false narratives. They thought we'd be consumed and become ashes, but we became the fire. Like the Hindu goddess Kali, you became the destroyer of illusion, not to terrorize, but to liberate. Kali is feared by the ego, but loved by the soul. That is who I am. That is who you are. That is why they have hated us. Because we came to end cycles. We came to activate truth. We refuse to stay small, to let their comfort be comfy and nice and intact. We rise without the need to put others down. We rise without bitterness. The hardest part of being the real one isn't the betrayal. It's choosing to rise without becoming like them. It's so easy to go tit for tat. It's so easy to be eye for an eye, making the whole world blind. In the Baha'i teachings, there's a sacred emphasis on unity and justice, not revenge. So I chose grace. I chose growth. You chose to live in a way that proves you again and again over time. Why? Because the truth reveals itself. Falsehood has a loud start, but the truth has a slow, lasting finish. They told everyone that you were the karmic, but now look around and see who's left when you're gone. Confusion, drama, cycles repeating, no peace, no evolution. Because the real one was never the problem. You were the presence that held it all together. And so in the final reflections, we say this: here I stand in the light of day, not in bitterness, but in clarity, not in revenge, but in embodiment, not in pride, but in peace. From Hinduism, I learned how karma is not punishment but pattern. From Buddhism, you learned how attachment to illusion causes suffering. From Daoism, we learned how non-resistance allows true strength to explode, come to the surface, and rise. From the Baha'i faith, we learned that unity cannot be built on lies, but only on truth. They called us the karmics, but we were the catalysts. They called you the shadow, but you were the mirror. They called me the storm, but I was the shift. They called us the enemy, but we were the lesson. We are not angry. We are not bitter. We are free. And while they stay caught in loops of illusion, they're not really our enemy. They were never at our level. And we walk the path of the eternal. We walk the path of the divine because we have been the real ones time after time after time. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content.